let's jump into it. Let's start with a comment real quick, and then we'll jump into the rankings. Andy Dubs in the chat said, worried about Chicago's tight ends versus our pass defense, considering they might not be blocking as much due to Micah's presence. But I'm just a fan, so I don't know. Listen, they've got solid tight end room, right? Colston Loveland is looking like a really, really good tight end. He's off to a great start. Obviously, they got Cole Kmet, who got a little banged up last week, looked ugly at first, but I think he's going to be good to go in terms of the latest injury report. But I have a lot of faith in this defense too, man. I mean, there's a lot of people that, and I'm not saying Andy's saying this, but many people are thinking the Packers defense is just going to go cheeks without Micah Parsons. I'm telling you that I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. I mean, hell, we gave up a lot of points to Dallas with Micah on the team, right? We gave up a lot of points last week to Denver. What was it? 34, I believe, is what we ended up giving up, right? Yeah, 34-26 was the loss. So those games are going to happen from time to time. But in terms of how our pass defense has played, we're actually fifth in the league in pass defense in terms of yards per pass attempt. So, Andy, I'm not specifically concerned about that. It's going to come down to more schematically what you're going to do. I think you're going to get back to more fire zone blitzing and things like that. Fire zone blitz, simulated pressure. You'll probably still be bringing 4 at a time, but you're going to be bringing edge in a little more often and dropping the end out from here, here or there. So I think Hafley, I was listening to him on his press conference, and I think it was yesterday, either today or I think it was yesterday. And he specifically talked about this. They didn't have Micah until the end of training camp. So there was already a defense that they were planning on having without Micah, right? Do you think they were just, oh gosh, we're going to be horrible? The reality is we finished 5th in scoring defense last year. I think we were sitting 6th going into this week. However, now if we were to sort by points per play, and I'll put this on the screen in just a second, we are currently in the number 7 spot, actually the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spot in terms of scoring defense right now. Okay, so we were actually 1 spot higher last year in scoring defense in terms of NFL rankings. So again, I think this defense will be fine. You're just going to have to change some things up. And I'm not overly concerned with their tight ends, me personally. Again, there are some people that immediately shifted the focus and they think we're going to play more man coverage. I'm going, what are we talking about? They pretend they've convinced themselves that that's what we did last year. Like if you look at the coverage from last year and where the Packers finished, we were tied for 6th or 7th best in EPA per dropback. And when you look at the man coverage, guys, we only played 19% man coverage last year. If I remember correctly, we're actually playing more man coverage this year. Let's see. That was 19 last year. And this was a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago. We need to get the updated numbers. But when you look at it here, we're at 18% man coverage this year. So, again, you're just 1% off where you were last year. There's nothing that's really dramatically changed. I mean, when you look at it, this year we're playing 32% cover 3, right? And then last year we were at 33% cover 3. So everything's right there in the same ballpark. I think some people just come up with their own, their own opinion of things that just aren't true, right? The fact that people think that all of a sudden we're going to go back to playing more man coverage. I'm like, what do you mean back to playing more man coverage? We didn't play more man coverage last year. We're right there within 1% or 2 of where we were last year. So just something to kind of keep an eye on there. But let's jump into some of the rankings here. You guys know these are the PTA power rankings. Emilio is supposed to get you guys a link. I know he's been slammed here lately. We're going to get it over in the Patreon group, patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access, where you guys have access to this. But this has been updated this week. So this is everything up to date in terms of our rankings. Now, how do we come up with this? The number on the right, if you're new here, low number wins. And here's everything that goes in: winning percentage, offensive scoring, defensive scoring allowed. And then we got offensive yards per play allowed, yards per play, and then defensive yards per play allowed, along with turnover margin. I feel like those are the most important statistics. It's not the only thing that's important, but if I had to pick a handful of statistics, a handful of team rankings to go, okay, how good are these teams across the league? That's what I would go with. So here are the ranking system right now. You've got the LA Rams 1. We get the Seattle Seahawks 2. So we got number 1 and number 2 teams in our power ranking system going head-to-head tonight, which is wild to think about. Then we got the New England Patriots 3. Your Green Bay Packers are actually in the 4 spot here. I don't know why, but the rankings on the left, just disregard that. But we are number 4 on that list, so we need to get that changed. Looks like I got a little off on my numbers. Let me change that right quick while I'm thinking about it. There we go. Fixed. So Green Bay is your 4th ranked team in terms of our overall score. Now, they're actually tied with Indianapolis. Both of those teams are tied in the 4th spot. Then you got Jacksonville down there in the 6th spot. And then you got Denver in the 7th spot, Detroit Lions in the 8th spot, Houston Texans 9, Philadelphia Eagles 10, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 12th spot there, tied with Buffalo. So that's why those were changed up there. So they're actually both top 4 place. So again, now where does Chicago land on this list? We got a 13.3 score. Again, low number of wins. Chicago is currently ranked 14th on our power rankings. Okay, so with Chicago ranking 14th, how do we get there? How do we get there with Green Bay? Let's go through it. Winning percentage. The Packers have the 10th best winning percentage across the league. Offensive scoring. This is points per play. We are 11th best in the league. Defensive scoring allowed, points per play allowed. We're 6th best in the league. Offensive yards per play, so moving the ball, yards per play, 8th in the league. Yards on defense, 5th in the league, and then 9th in turnover margin. So if we jump down to Chicago, they have the 5th best winning percentage, right? So they have a better winning percentage than the Packers, obviously. Offensive scoring, they are 12th. So they're right behind Green Bay. So Green Bay has actually passed them. The last time we played them, Green Bay's scoring offense was below Chicago. So we've actually passed them since then. All right. In terms of defensive scoring, so points per play allowed, the Packers are 6th. The Bears are 24th. Now they've climbed a little bit. Last week, I want to say, or the last time we played, I want to say they're around the 26 or 27 spot. You guys can probably check it in the Patreon group. But again, scoring defense is their weak spot. Offensive yards per play, they're moving the ball a little bit better than they're scoring. They're 10th in yards per play. They're 12th in points per play. So 12th in scoring, 10th in yardage. And then, of course, on defense, their scoring defense is ranked 24th. However, their yards per play allowed on defense is ranked 28th. The thing they do well, and they did it against us, is they take the ball away and they protect the football. They're first in the National Football League in turnover margin. You guys know that's the number one key statistic in a game outside of points scored is when you're playing a game, typically the team who wins the turnover differential will almost always win the game, that coupled with the middle eight. So again, when you look at these from a head-to-head standpoint, it may look like Green Bay has quite the edge here, being 4th on our list and Chicago being all the way down at 14th. But when you really break it down, they have a better winning percentage to the tune of 5 rankings above us, right? Then they've got they're lower than us on scoring on offense by just 1 spot. So that's pretty much a push. We have a significantly better scoring defense. All right. They are 2 spots behind us in offensive yardage. And then they are significantly below us in yards per play allowed on defenses. We were 5th best in the league. They are 28th. However, we're 9th in turnover margin. They're 1st in turnover margin. So that's how the rankings stack up according to our PTA power rankings as it sits right now. And as Chris says, he wants to piss me off. And he says the thumbs up is a soccer ball once again. Everybody spin that football over there for me, all right, if you don't mind. We greatly appreciate y'all hitting like. So there's how the PTA rankings lay out currently. Now let's switch gears and look at a couple other things here real quick in terms of the early preview for the Packers-Bears game. This came across Twitter, and I wanted to share it with you guys and gals. This is over on Fox NFL, all right, Fox Sports NFL, their Twitter account. And this was done by Henry McKenna, okay? This is called the quarterback stock market that he does. So when you look at it here, number 1, Matthew Stafford jumps 1 spot, so he's number 1. Josh Allen jumped a spot up to the number 2 position. Drake May dropped 2 spots down to number 3. Jordan Love stayed pat at number 4. So according to the quarterback stock market, Henry McKenna over at Fox NFL, they have Jordan Love as the 4th best quarterback in the league right now. 5th is Jared Goff. 6th is Dak Prescott. 7th is Patrick Mahomes. Of course, Patrick jumped a spot. We'll probably, I don't know if they'll keep him on the list now that his ACL is done or not. We'll see. Bo Nix jumped 2 spots. Again, man, Bo Nix played great last week. He's one of those guys that I think he reminds me of a young Aaron Rodgers. I know I'm going to catch some flack for that, but just the way he plays the game, the arm angles, the ability to, I think he's got crazy athleticism that's really, really underrated to be able to create those secondary window throws and things. I feel like Bo Nix is everything that the mainstream sports media tries to make Caleb Williams out to be. Bo Nix is a much better pocket passer than Caleb Williams. They can both make plays on the run, but Bo Nix in the number 8 spot. Trevor Lawrence, 9. Lamar Jackson, 10. Sam Darnold drops 2 spots at number 11. Joe Burrow dropped 5 spots at number 12. Brock Purdy at 13. And then there is Caleb Williams in the 14 spot. He dropped 3 spots last week. Okay, so with all that being said, why do I want to highlight this? We talked about the rankings, the important rankings on the PTA power rankings, right? Now, Let's look at the quarterback matchup. Again, this is just according to Henry McKenna. I'm not saying it's the gospel. We'll talk about where PFF has them here in a second. Jordan Love is the 4th best quarterback in the league. Caleb Williams is 14th best as it sits right now. So when you look at their offensive rankings, and they're right there with the Packers just passed them up in offensive scoring, points per play. Why is that? The running game. What did Green Bay do good last time they played? They were able to stop their run, right? So that's going to come down to it as well. Caleb made some plays on down the stretch in the second half, but you held on for that win because you played with a lead and you forced them out of that running game, and then you kind of start to play the clock a little bit. I know most fans don't like that, but it is what it is. So there is your quarterback rankings and the comparison between Jordan Love and Caleb Williams according to Fox NFL. Now, let's jump over and look at the quick PFF preview. There's 2 things I want to key in on this. Is I want to look at the point spread and how it may or may not have changed up to this point. And then I also want to look at the, if I can get it lined up just right here so y'all can see it as best possible. I also want to look at their quarterback rankings and see if they disagree with Fox NFL in terms of the rankings. All right. So when we dive into it here, this is what we've got. The point spread, guys, has shifted. And you see there's a lot of movement down here, boy. It opened up. What did it open up with, guys? PFF had it at 2.5. That has since changed. Obviously, with the Micah news and all that, it's been shifting around. So the market opened up with the Packers being 1.5-point favorites. It's been up and down, up and down, up and down. Now the Packers are officially underdogs on the road in Chicago to the tune of 1 point. So the Bears are 1-point favorites. The money currently, you love to see this, 63% of the money is on the Pack or on the Bears -1. Anytime it's 60% or more of the public on a team, chances are the bookies, at least this season, the house is going to win that bet. All right. So you love to see when your team is on the opposite side of the public's money, 60% or higher. It typically, the chances are in your favor for the bookies to win that. All right. So with that being said, only 37% of the money is on the Packers +1. All right. The money line, not overly concerned about, but essentially they've got the Bears. 52% of the public is on the Bears to win this game outright. The Packers are sitting at 48%. Now, here's what I want to get to. We talked about the Fox rankings, right? Jordan Love 4th, Caleb Williams 14th. The PFF has the Green Bay Packers quarterback Jordan Love with an 89.3 grade, Caleb Williams with a 74.6. All right. And when you look at the rankings, again, remember, Fox had us 4th. They had Caleb 14th. PFF has Jordan Love 8th and Caleb Williams 17th. So both quarterbacks 3 spots lower, I believe, 3 to 4 spots lower than where Fox actually had them at. So just wanted to kind of take a look at that and see where they had them. So really, when you look across the board here, the main thing that Chicago has got going for them, just like the last time we played, is the fact that they win the turnover margin almost always. If we can control the ball, we could take the ball away or just not give the ball away, we got a really good shot of going into Chicago, even banged up. We'll get you guys the latest injury report a little later this evening when everything drops. I know Jaden Reed was back at practice. That's great news. Christian Watson should be good to go. All signs are pointing to that for sure. But when we get to that a little bit later this evening, we'll get you guys all that information. So that's how it's lining up right now for the Packers and the Bears. We'll do another preview probably tomorrow at some point. We'll give you guys a lineup matchup in terms of PFF. I want to hear from everyone in the chat, in the comments section. If you're watching this video back later, let me know how you feel about those rankings. Do you agree with Jordan Love being significantly higher than Caleb Williams? And also the other question, how do you feel about that point spread? Do you think the Bears should be the favorites? Do you think the Packers should be the favorites? Who do you think has the best shot of winning this ball game? Both Packers and Bears fans alike, we want to hear from you in the comments. So let us know that. And if you're a Packer fan, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you know when we go live with future shows like this one right here.